The future. Orcs. Shooting. Samurai aliens. Floaty bikes. Setting people on fire with tanks. Band practice. Satanic robo-spider. Out of the rich mythology of Games Workshop's many franchises and sub-franchises, the universe of Warhammer 40,000 has thus far fared better than the rest, with the Dawn of War series, Space Marine, a couple of awesome Space Hulk titles, and you know what, Fire Warrior. I liked Fire Warrior. Fuck all of you. But then Warhammer 40,000 Carnage Champions is already rolling onto Steam with a major arrow through its balls, because it is a mobile port. Which, you know, I'm not saying is a bad thing necessarily, just that I've never ever played a good one. Ever. It's kind of like ska music. I'm sure by the law of probability somebody must have written a listenable ska song at some point, but I certainly haven't heard one that has changed how I associate white dreadlock trumpet players with dark fantasies of hammer murder. Carnage Champions is a mission-based side-scroller with an incredibly basic combat system. You start out in the role of a lone ultramarine carving a path through the Orc menace, but you can eventually unlock 5 other chapters to play as. Of course they make you wait until last to play as the fucking Space Wolves, of course they do, but you will be good and sick of this game long before you ever touch half of them. Carnage Champion's main draw is its War Gear loadout system, which allows you to kit out your Marine with over 600 weapons, armors, shields and support robots, all of various quality and expense. You can grab some basic crap by completing the missions as you move through the game map, but the sexiest items must be purchased for obscene amounts of silver, which you also use to upgrade them. You get silver, gold and red seals based mainly on your mission rankings, running from 1 to 3 stars, which seem to go higher the more easily you're able to smash your way through whichever Orc patrols dare to stand in your way. As we touched on before, this is a mobile port that was built to run on microtransactions, and my fucking word does it show. I'm fairly certain they've been removed, as attempting to visit the in-game store page will begin and end with you staring at a blank screen and a redeem code button that simply does not work. No redemption for you, sinner! Which, as much as an insufferable gaming antithesis as microtransactions are, leaves you with what is essentially an unbearable grindfest from which there is not even an unethical escape available to you. It's doable, it sure is. But I cannot begin to fathom the sheer amount of time you would have to dedicate to running the same 60-second stages over and over to grind out enough of this game's overinflated currency to be able to buy the gear that you want, especially considering that it appears and vanishes at complete fucking random after each mission. The combat itself is fun for approximately half an hour until you've tried all the guns and the hand-to-hand weapons, and the experience breaks down into just charging from left to right, shooting your bolter, swinging your hammer, not even bothering to stop and attempt any form of tactical nuance because A, you're wearing health regenerating armor that heals faster than anything can hurt you, and B, the only defense you have against your enemies is a stationary block, which is utterly useless because it's far quicker to just stay at range and shoot the bigger orcs, and there's never a window of safe retaliation when you're being mobbed by the little fuckers. It's just a race to the finish line, barely even a race, more like a 100-meter sprint, because these stages are over before you know what's happened. In a way, that's great, because you're going to have to come back to them repeatedly to grind out whatever loose change the game charitably tosses at you, like you're a fucking hobo, but in another, far more immediate way, it is duller than watching shoes play chess. But be careful what the fuck you wish for, because on the very rare occasion that Carnage Champions breaks away from boring you so intensely that your tear ducts descend down into your body and you begin to weep openly into your own lungs so that you literally die of sadness, it only does so to piss you off. Near the end of the second map, you get a few stages in a row of just having the absolute piss bombed out of you by, like, I don't know, a volcano maybe? There's no pattern to where the exploding rocks fall, and even if you catch yourself in a damage marker warning you where you're gonna get hit, there's no way to escape in time because you're too bloody slow, and their area of effect is ridiculous. Now, short of going back to the previous stages for 2 hours to go begging for money to buy yourself some armor that would allow you to stand a chance at running this infuriatingly randomized gauntlet, your only option is to cower under an outcrop somewhere while you very slowly regenerate health. And I mean, this is the only point in the game where health regeneration becomes a problem, because these rocks smack you harder than the bosses. And there's fucking hundreds of them, raining from the goddamn sky! Now let's talk about the war gear system, because even if you play these stages over and over until your fingers go from looking like elegant products of evolution to grotesquely swollen cat nipples, you're still facing a structure with several rudimentary problems. Each item you find or buy has a preset level that you can max it out at with silver. And once you hit that particular roof, the only way to upgrade it further is to use a ludicrous amount of either red sills or gold on it. Both of these currencies are harder to find than pieces of the true cross. Gold you can get in the campaign. Nowhere near enough. Nowhere bloody near enough, but you can very gradually find it piece by piece. Red sills, however, good fucking luck. The only reliable way to get them is to head onto the fire team missions on multiplayer, which is such a completely balls backwards mechanic that I don't even know, it defies analogy. If you want to upgrade your gear in the single player campaign, you have to play online. Fuck off with your nonsense. I mean, that's not the only online related problem, because the game regularly drops its connection with the server, seeing as it has to be connected at all times, even in single player, which forces it to revert back to your last save. So if you finally found a rare weapon drop you wanted and the server shits itself and dies, you can kiss the fuck goodbye to it, because Carnage Champions does not autosave upon exiting the gear screen. Good God Almighty. But never mind that, we're wandering off track here, so buy your weapon or seal or magic healing trousers with silver, upgrade it with silver, hit the roof, go online, grind out some red seals, upgrade it some more. Nothing could be a bigger waste of your time, and here's why. Carnage Champions makes a big deal out of its loot rarity ranking, which runs from common to mastercraft. The mastercraft items obviously cost the earth, the common ones you can usually pay for without much trouble, so let's say you do what I did and sink nearly $1,000 into a Mastercraft plasma cannon, thinking that would be a sound investment for a good long while. Guess the fuck again, because almost immediately it was statistically outmatched by a weapon 3 rarity classes below it. 3! And that's the fucking trap, that's what renders the entire upgrade system completely pointless. You can spend enough silver on your crap to break a donkey's back, but the next time you check back at the store, it will have been outclassed by a cheap common item with elevated stats. So the big question there is, why bother? Why bother spending hundreds and hundreds making your gear better if you can spend motherfucking 38 silver instead and buy a goddamned helmet that shoots your health and armor ratings through the roof, certainly far beyond the maxed out capabilities of your previous gear? It is so utterly broken, so beyond pointless, that much like the rest of this game, you will struggle to justify its existence beyond the initial 45 minutes. Do not waste the skin on your fingertips.